guys, let's put on a show. It's a pandemic, but we're ready to go. Lights, camera, action from a distance, you know it's time for Late Night Fetoid.
A biography about his father, but you don't want him in the movie. You want to cast him as a fluffer for the movie. Is this the biography pornography? I don't understand what this is. Yeah, yes, hey.
We're live.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to call you back tomorrow or something, whatever, bye. Okay, good evening. I'm Christina King, producer for Fetoid Pictures, a wholly owned subsidiary of Fetus and Fetu Productions. Our group has a vault of stunning films to share with you, the public. Last week, we debuted our show with our 10th anniversary film, Two Worlds, Two Hearts. It is widely considered a romantic sci-fi classic. Science fiction is a staple for the Fetoids, and few things go as well with sci-fi as horror. And I'm pleased to share with you tonight our first foray into psychological terror. This is a film we created for the Portland Local Horror Film Festival, Guignolfest, our first time there. Critically lauded, Psychodynamics won an award for Best Editing, and it was 15th runner-up for Best Picture. This film was created with a shoestring budget, which you can see from our very minimal costume changes, and a script from Ben Coleman, who is most well known perhaps for his chronicles of laserdisc dealing in East Portland. I hope you like words. It also marks the first Fetoid collaboration with Ryan Castro, and he's an actor who has captured the hearts and the minds of his generation, our generation, much like James Dean did, or Jonathan Silverman. Veronica Ewing stars in her follow-up to the best of show-worthy Amsterdam Odyssey. This film, it's quite a departure from that. And now, Psychodynamics.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Semi-dry, no calf, double shot with vegan cream.
Can I borrow that pen? Thanks.
Jacoby Neural Engineering and Rehabilitation. My name is Darian. How may I help you?
Do you remember the routine we discussed? That's good. How are you adjusting to your new routine? That is also good. Your dynamic lifestyle is the product of a successful routine. Now it's just a question of dialing it in. Let's dial in your routine to suit your dynamic lifestyle.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Double shot vanilla large cap.
Conviction is empty without the deed. What deeds do you do? What is your great work? A great work is the work of a lifetime. By the transitive property, to steal your work is to steal your life. They steal from you what makes you whole. You must assert yourself to become a full and potent being. You must assert yourself in your great work. You become whole by having a routine. It is wholeness to have a dynamic lifestyle.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Pumpkin spice caramel with twist quadruple soy. Jesus.
You seem relaxed. This is good. You seem more assertive, more whole. I'm glad you're feeling more like yourself. Now you must turn your gaze to the finer points, the petty injustices that surround you at all times. A routine is not immune from irritants. A dynamic routine is dependent on good hygiene. It is good to be correct in all things. It's good to have a routine. A correct routine is proper for a dynamic lifestyle.
I ain't got
Regular black coffee, no soy, triple cream.
Yes, you've become so whole and so correct. But I feel the work is not complete. Completeness is essential to correctness. We must finish our great works. We must leave nothing unfinished and incorrect. It's not good to live thoughtlessly. It is not good to be inactive. What is good is to have a routine. A correct routine leads inevitably to a dynamic lifestyle.
I ain't got
Got a large green tea?
Excellent. You are becoming the best version of you, the most correct version of yourself. Yet, some concerns linger. There are usurpers at your gates. They would plunder your garden. They would take what you treasure. Yet, you lie idle. An inactive defense is not correct. Let their blood water our garden. This is correct. This is dynamic. Excellent. You have accomplished so much in such a short time. You have many powerful and correct routines. Your dynamic lifestyle is a flaming sword of vengeance. My concern, my only concern, is that your vision has become limited. Who is the traitor? Who lies in our midst dissembling incorrect routines? Who sticks a poison pin in your side, sapping your correctness? Take your rightful place. Become fully correct. Become a naked sword. Become a routine of fury and retribution. Your dynamic lifestyle shall cleanse this world in holy fire.
I ain't got I ain't got time to bleed.
man, what a fucking movie. Hello, hi. Welcome back to the show. We are going to talk to the cast and the crew, have us a Q&A. It's going to be before the... after a word from our sponsor, we are going to have a Q&A with the cast and crew, which means first, a word from our sponsor. Take it away, Jack.
In these difficult times, it's easy to feel all alone, like there's no one you can run to for help. But really, there's someone right behind you. Zomb, our easy-to-use video conferencing platform, allows you to reach out with your computer or mobile device and connect with the people most important to you, no matter where they are.
Oh, your people came back.
We have not forgotten the blood pact.
Perfect for managing work meetings across distances or just staying connected with friends.
Is that a new haircut?
I've been sporting it a little while.
Our intuitive interface allows you to invite friends, mute your microphone or camera, and chat in the sidebar. You don't have to be alone with your thoughts.
Mama, I remembered your birthday.
But you've been dead for years.
Share your brains with Zomb.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Psychodynamics. And to once again reiterate what was already said, this was the inaugural selection for the Guignolfest. It's the first time where Fetus and Fetu decided to make a horror film, to which they have done so every year since. I love everything about this movie. It is truly creepy. It's got vibes of Maniac, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, amongst many other of the fine, someone losing their shit films. I'm trying to listen to myself. We're going to tone it down a little bit. It's tweaking. It's all just tweaking. All right. We're going to go forward a bit. Let's start with, I talked with Ryan Scott. He was our editor for this piece. He won the award that year for best editing. I asked him, what exactly do you think it was that put Psychodynamics over the top? To which he told me that he's pretty sure once they handed over the fully exported item to the festival, they saw how many goddamn cuts were in this film and just gave him the fucking trophy. After watching this, again, I have to take a step back because it's not just the actual, the picture cuts, but there's a severe amount of sound editing in this film. Did anyone else pick that up? We're good. All right.
I was there, so I'm going to pretend. Do you want me to pretend like I didn't notice?
No.
This was actually my first time seeing this one, and that was one of the things that I did notice, especially kind of the resetting of the day with the alarm. I ain't got time to bleed. It became very cyclical, and it was something to kind of latch onto, but it was also like, damn, there's a lot of edits that are in this.
There's a ton of sound going on in this film, and it ends with a remix of the I Ain't Got Time to Bleed ringtone. Which is,
and that was the required line of dialogue. I don't know if you knew that since you weren't involved in this one, but yeah. There we go.
Yeah, this particular piece was funny because I'm not in this year. We had done, this was the first piece that we had done directly after Astrodame Odyssey for the 48-hour film fest. I am not part of it because I am in North Carolina getting married, but it leaves the door open for that fever dream of the silver screen, Mr. Ryan Castro. I think he does it better than I could have ever done it. And also it must be said, because this particular film is the second time we're having it written by Ben Coleman, who had won the award for Astro Dame Odyssey for that year's 48-hour film fest. One of the many prestige awards that we had for that particular film. Ben Coleman has a way of creating these L. Ron Hubbard-esque characters, much like he had in Astro Dame with the author. He does it for Ryan Castro in this, and Ryan really just takes it home. I'm a huge, huge fan of it. Does anybody else have anything that they want to chime in with in regards to Ryan Castro? Don't we all? How about this one? We're going to take a quick poll. I believe the French called it the je ne sais quoi. I call it the it factor. I believe science call it big dick energy. Which one do you think it is? Benjamin Kawaka.
I think it's big dick energy, because it's much easier to pronounce, and that's pretty scientific as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Somebody get some paper. Let's do one vote. Big dick energy. Christina King. Is it that it factor, je ne sais quoi, or is it a big dick energy?
I know too much about Ryan Castro's personal life to not say BDE.
Nick.
Well,
we've got one vote for the BDE, one vote for just straight up unadulterated big dick energy. Where do you fall in regards to the cinematic tour de force that is Ryan Castro?
I mean, I feel like I should go big dick energy just because there's 2 votes for it already, but I would say je ne sais quoi, because as the movie progressed, you watched his character progress further and further into psychosis as well. And I thought that that was really good. I think big dick energy is just too simple of a thing for that sort of nuanced performance.
I think you bring up a really great point. I guess this goes back to the script writing phase, and if Christine would be able to answer this, was it supposed to be a slow unveiling that maybe this was always the person that Ryan's character was, or is he also losing his mind at real time?
I stepped into the writing process when we were wrapping up just to try to keep it moving forward and get filming. So I'm not entirely sure what was going on in Ben Coleman's head at the time, but I have a feeling it was a combination of Lovecraft and radio play. So he smashed those two together as he is wont to do, and came up with that. He actually wasn't involved in the filming. He wrote the script and just ran away, and you know, that's the Coleman way. He gives you a finished script and doesn't stick around, doesn't stay on set. So I think we did it justice.
It's not too shabby knowing where your place ends, giving your 2 bits and then getting out of the way. As somebody who in many of these projects wears more than one hat, no idea what the fuck that's like. I want to talk about the locations that we have for this particular film. For Psychodynamics, looks like we're using a coffee shop, your own apartment, Christina, and then also JAMA. 3 completely different locations. If we were to lay out every single Fetus and Fetu film and like a bar graph and say how many locations they had, I think you would see a number of tiny, itty bitty little bars, and then you would see a 3 bar that is this particular movie, and then nothing ever again. Were we just riding that wave, that all that energy coming off Astro Dame?
You might recognize this bookcase. Featured so heavily in Psychodynamics behind me. Yes, and we didn't even have a coffee shop. We used like the outs ran by a Starbucks, but the coffee shop scene was filmed in JAMA at our little coffee. So for those of you who don't know what JAMA is, JAMA software is where I've worked for almost 7 years, and now several members of Fetus and Fetu Productions, true members of Fetus and Fetu and Fetoid Pictures work. And that's what you do when you have no money for production, right? You shoot at your work after hours when you're not supposed to be there, but you can badge in. Don't hope nobody's listening to me say that, but we didn't have rules back then. When was this? 2015? We didn't have rules. Now it's against the rules, but I'm safe, right? I'm not going to lose my job. Anyway, what was the question? I think I answered.
How many locations? But yeah, in fact, I did not know that the coffee shop was also in the same building. That's pretty snappy. That's pretty witty. Does anybody else have anything to say as far as they want to chime in for the goings on for Psychodynamics?
I wasn't part of the production of Psychodynamics either, but I do just want to chime in and say that that Ryan Castro is a dreamboat, and if I ever had children, it would only be to try and create one that is like him.
Wow. I could chime in to say that another cool thing about this production is that we filmed it in first person, and we had never done that before, and we'll likely never do that again. But it was worth a shot. I think we had like all of 6 people in cast and crew, and when you have very few people, those are the choices you make. And this was before we were operating with any sort of lighting. We didn't have Benja back in the crew. Yeah, there was just not enough people to do all the things. So it was, hey, it'll be easiest to hold on to this camera and tell the story from her point of view. But I think it ended up clever, right? I mean, as long as it was edited together well, and it was, at least that's what the piece of paper says. So, oh, look, Ryan's connecting. Maybe he'll have something to say about his editing.
Which is pretty funny, because when I said, Ryan, is there anything you want to say about Psychodynamics? You said, yes, I exported, they saw the cuts. And I said, anything else? He's like, no, fuck that movie to death. It almost killed me. It's very,
it's what he cut his teeth on, though.
Oh, yeah. I believe
he wouldn't be
Ben
who
just
he
said
is
it
today
earlier in that if I had known better, I wouldn't have done it. And I believe that is one of the, if we could have that translated into Latin, that would be the motto for Fetus and Fetu Pictures.
How many cuts were there?
Who knows? I don't know. I couldn't tell you an exact number. But what I was really paying attention to this particular time was the sound edit. I think almost zero natural sound, very little spoken word, a lot of basic stabbing and sound effects, that damn ringtone over and over again. That was all added in later, if I'm not to be mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. We were intending to drive the audience crazy too.
So because we're looking at a routine, a dynamic routine, perfecting oneself, it looks like every single shot in this particular movie is done over and over and over again. Can you give me a little insight into that, Christina?
Yeah, you're correct. And believe it or not, you will believe this, the script was actually longer. And so we ended up cutting heavily before doing the final cuts. I mean, it would have been a hell of a lot more work for Ryan, of course, to go back and run a pass after putting everything in. But we cut it down like as we were filming, just crossing out lines of dialogue because there was so much. But that was the easiest part, were the Castro scenes, since he's just sitting there on a chair in a duplex in front of a bookcase with Dave the Great was involved in this production, and he brought a bunch of weird shit from his house, as Dave does. That's the best part about being involved in these things. People just bring the weird things that they have at home, as you know, sitting in your own home in front of velvet, wearing velvet. But no, the shooting itself was not it was oddly unchallenging just because we weren't working with lights and a field recorder or a separate audio recorder. It was mostly just camera and then post. So thank you, Ryan.
What was the actual, I guess, the genre that you were given? And I just found out that the line of dialogue was, "I ain't got time to bleed." What were the other required elements?
It's a really good question. Probably something somebody got murdered with. Gosh, Ryan, you'll have to chime in if you remember.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember. Ain't got time to bleed. Was it the rope? Was it something we had in the background of all the shots of Castro? Because as we've cheated that a little bit before in the past.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
We're not very good at answering this question. Sorry.
It's too long ago.
You only reminded me of the lunch pails from last week after I'd watched. I'm like, oh, that's right. I thought we were being so smart and like cute.
We just lucked out that it was something we had a lot of.
We did. We had quite a bit, but we also weren't even the most, because that year, I believe one of the winning submissions was called Lunchbox Cop. In case we weren't literal enough with it. Don't laugh. It was actually a really funny movie.
It was hilarious.
It was good. It was solid. Everybody should look that up on YouTube.
I guess the question is, how do we get hooked up with the Guignolfest? Where did that come from?
So the Guignolfest actually was Dylan Hillerman and Julia Erotica have been producing this thing for, I don't know, like 10 or 12 years or something. So for a while, but I first caught wind of it when it was in play form. So it was like a playwriting competition or something. It had something to do with acting. And former Fetus and Fetu member Dawn, she was then Dawn Mansky, now Van Buren, was in a play. I just remember her being shirtless. And it was, Greg Bogoni has written one. Yeah, so it's just all these people that we know of in Portland were involved, and it had something to do with stage work. And then I followed it on Facebook. I was like, oh, this would be cool to write a play sometime. And then years later, it just popped up. It's like, we're doing this horror fest. And there we showed up, because that's where we go. Something new, another thing to try out.
Any chance you get to go to a movie theater, get stinking drunk, and see yourself on screen is worth every second. Is that true? Oh. Benja Barker, I had no idea. Let's take a little step back and look at this commercial that you created for Fetoid Presents. That's an undertaking.
It was. Whoops.
Holy hell, do you got everybody to put their piece in? And is that all stock footage that's completely free?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I did a lot of graphic design for this one too.
There's nothing I love more than a fictional interface in a movie. I'll tell you that. Great job. Is there anything else anybody wants to add to this particular bit regarding psychodynamics?
The turtleneck, it was hypnotizing.
The
costuming, yeah, the costume was like, that was so fantastic. And Ryan Castro, he wore it so well, and it was terrifying.
If I can just say something, this one was really interesting to do, it being our first one and all. We really, it was two things. It was really hard to edit because of how many shots we had, because the day's cycling, right? and Castro was delivering his lines so well and creepy and slow that all the rest of the cuts had to be extremely short to get him to keep him in and keep it going. So it was really challenging. And then the last thing is, I don't think we read the room for Guignolfest. We showed up with this, and people were like, "Oh, they're taking it seriously." Like I heard someone in the audience say that. I was like, "Oh, all right." And then the rest of the films that played that year were very funny. Like they pushed it really hard with the horror, the blood, and the kind of the grindhouse feel, you know. And so after that, I kind of took that to heart, and I was like, "Oh, we have to go bigger."
We'll never make a film where somebody doesn't have blood pouring out of the tip of their penis.
Did we do Donnie Riff the next year? Because we were like, we need big titty witches if we want to get in this room. We want to be taken seriously at this horror fest.
And I think that's why I like Psychodynamics so much, is it doesn't have many of the token parts of a Fetoid film that I try very, very hard to get in them. The over-sexualized women and that Russ Meyer, Ed Wood kind of feel. And I guess that's why I love it. Anybody else want to add to this? Fantastic.
Well, your sideburns are looking good.
Oh, thank you. This was very hard. We had a screaming baby up until about countdown from 10. That's within the actual movie playing inside. Thank you, everybody who showed up. This is Fetoid Presents. We're going to be trying to present the entire film vault from Fetus and Fetu Productions with new content, introductions, and of course a discussion afterwards. Previously, we were, how should we say, nasty dilettantes making dirty short films, and now we are officially live streaming pioneers. Please keep coming back as we do our best to try and perfect the technology, as is everyone. If Jimmy Kimmel sucks at this, we're doing okay. Each week we are doing our best to bring new content as well as classic films. Does anybody have anything they want to plug?
Anyone in the audience have any projects they want to plug?
I mean, I am working on a video project, Space Mission Alpha Centauri, but that it's not out yet, so I don't can't speak too much about
it. This film was written by Ben Coleman. He did 3 films for Fetus and Fetu. You'll know each of his works because they have lots and lots of words. He has gone on and written a comic book series that is called The Long Con. It is out from Oni Press, a story of a comic convention that is stuck underground in the middle of a worldwide catastrophe. And what happens when all these geeks are left on their own in their subterranean lair.
And within that book, there's a reference to Princess Moonfalcon from Astrodame Odyssey. There's a poster on the wall. It's warms my heart.
That entire book is smattered with Fetoid tidbits and jokes. I cannot recommend it enough. Support your fellow Fetoids. We will be back next week. Let's do this. Do we want to decide what we are going to play next week?
Yeah.
Should we vote? Should
people
we all just
throw
say
some
it, or?
votes in the chat? What do people want to see? What do you want to talk about? Yeah.
I almost feel as if we should keep it going and maybe play, to me, some of the older ones. Motorcycle Madness, I think, is the next one that's going to come up in that. A film that you'll notice because we have lighting.
That was the first time, right?
We've actually,
yeah.
Technically, it's probably some of the best lighting because we shot it in a theater.
And Ben Coleman wrote that one, so right, we're on a Ben Coleman streak with that.
We can get his shit out of the way so we don't ever have to talk about Ben Coleman ever again.
We should really make sure he knows this is going on.
Absolutely not. Do you really want a little box that's Ben Coleman's living room? I've Zoomed with Ben Coleman.
Is there possibility of you doing more than one, since they're so short, and doing kind of comparison or, you know, different experiences?
I think you would be presupposing that we have better shit to do.
We have talked about that, but we kind of like the idea of giving each little gem from the vault its own spotlight rather than burning through them all at once.
Except perhaps Astrojacked 1 and 2. That should be a special double feature.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think we're doing pretty good
anniversary
with the single film. Our eventual intent is to get more and more original content. And if Benji Barker is going to crack out stuff like you saw tonight every week, we're going to do it.
He didn't sleep.
I did.
You got everybody to give you a piece.
Mm-hmm.
You got Mary Suzanne back in one movie.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't been in a movie in 2 years.
Yeah.
She came out of hiding for you, Benja.
Yes, it's true. It's a lot easier to get people to fake a Zoom call because I mean, just use a phone and fake a Zoom call. It's very easy. The setup is not terribly elaborate. Really, the hardest part about the whole thing is getting decent audio. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Speaking of audio, this is sounding pretty good. I got my own hardwire here, but thank you very, very much. And thank you, everybody. It's episode 2 in the can. This will be on YouTube. Be sure to take time and look back at the first episode. I promise you, we are only going to get better. And this is why we need a catchphrase.
We knew it was coming.
I think it's, do I get a treat now?
Yeah, this was one of few movies that, ooh, this was a fun one. So this being our first Guignolfest, we didn't know how relaxed they would be about rules and times and things like that. We're used to doing the 48-hour film project, which is very much, they do a countdown. You have to turn it in at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday night. They start counting down a minute in, and if you're late, you're late. Well, the Guignolfest it's a little more relaxed, which can make it more fun. But this is one of the few years that we were using Adobe Premiere and we didn't really have a grip on it. So exporting was hell. We kept exporting it with absolutely no sound. And we ended up going to Beulah Land to turn it into Dylan and Julia without having any sound on it. And just saying, here, we finished our movie, we swear, but we can't export the sound. And they were super cool. And they're like, we believe you. Send us a working copy with sound. So I ended up taking my like laptop to work or something and trying to like figure out the sound then and sending it to them. But That's why we were using Final Cut for so many years, and people have been learning Premiere now, so that's cool. Hopefully we can resolve that audio export problem, but there's nothing quite like finishing up a film that you've worked on for 72 hours with very little sleep, only to have it export with absolutely no audio. It's just like heartbreaking, because we pride ourselves on the fact that we always turn something in on time, and it usually kind of makes sense, but this one wouldn't have worked without the audio.
Yeah, with the commercial I did today, it actually, as I was finishing the last massage of one of the edits, it crashed. And I was like, oh God, please, no, don't. But fortunately, everything was saved and it came back fine. But yes, video editing software can be, a fickle mistress at times.
But it's better than accidentally taping over some project with all my children. It could have been worse.
Or accidentally filming porn on the on the videotape of the family vacation to Florida or something.
I have done literally both of those things. I put soap operas over projects. I have put pornography over keepsakes.
Why do neither
pornography
of these
and
things surprise
keepsakes
me?
the same thing to you?
Is there a word to say the one that's not my mom? There we go.
Well, that sounds like a good note to end on.
Do we get a treat now?
Yeah. This has been Fetoid Presents. Go get yourself a treat now. Thank you for watching Fetoid Presents. Live a more dynamic lifestyle.